G'day everybody, Simon here, Explosive Action, back for part 2 of this two-part black metal vinyl collection update. Got 7 more here to take a look at, so let's get into it. So firstly, if you've not seen part 1, stop this, go back and watch part 1. Not that it really matters which order you want to watch them in, but do make sure you check out the other part as well as this one. And the first one we're going to take a look at today, which will commence my inability to pronounce things properly from foreign lands, but I'm going to give them a crack. We have the latest release here from, I'm going to call them Cantique Lépreux, Cantique Lépreux. It's spelt Cantique, and then L-E with a little dealy on the top, P-R-E-U-X. Lépreux? Lépreux? I don't know. I'm not a pro, but we're going to go with Cantique Lépreux, and the album is called Le Banishment, which is The Banishment. That one's fairly obvious. This is the third full-length from this band, who, if you couldn't work out from their name, are obviously French-inspired. They are a Quebecois black metal scene band. I've spoken about plenty of them in the previous update. There just seems to be a hell of a lot of those bands, and they're all doing a lot of new releases right now. This one is very, very fresh off the press. It's only been out, I think, maybe 1 or 2 months at this point. And with Cantique Lépreux, I mean, look, you go to the similar artists section on Metal Archives. Of course, number 1 is Fortress, and number 2 is Monarch. So I've talked about both of those bands in the last update. You kind of know what you're getting with this one. But I do hear definitely a bit more Swedish elements in the sound here for this band, particularly on this new one here, where probably a little bit darker than they have been before, maybe just a tad. It's still this blizzard of tremolo guitar. It's produced incredibly cleanly. A lot of those Quebec bands do have a very clean, precise sound to them. Swiss band Ara, again, I mentioned them recently. Another great comparison, I think, for these guys. That focus on the sort of upper register in the guitar. I'm not a musician, I don't know what to say, but instead of playing down the low end, they're playing up the high end of the fret. So it's lots of this just very high piercing notes kind of thing. And then sort of like, there's like a secondary guitar that's playing like just lower, more regular kind of black metal riffs down the other end, which gives it a really good full sound, right? So nice trade-off there with the two guitar types, guitar styles. There's the back of it. Not too much to show there, just some fonts. So they're a 4-piece band, members, of course, having a run at some point in Fortress, because that just seems to be what you do. It's like if you're in Finland, you've played in Horner for a bit. Seems to be if you're in Quebec, you have played in Fortress, at least in some way, shape, or form. And I think they're in a bunch of other French-Canadian bands that I'm not too familiar with, so I need to go check them out, because you like one, you like them all. It seems to be the case. But on the strength of the material that Cantique Lépreux put out, I really need to investigate the other bands. Production is perfect. Like I said, it's very sharp. You hear everything very clear, very precisely. And it's got ripping guitar solos, which I wasn't quite expecting. Soloing in black metal, not too many of them, but they are there. Not quite to the point of something like Haxanu, which has got quite a lot of that stuff. But I think Ara, particularly in their Triad trilogy, is a good sort of comparison. I think here, if Ara were more French Canadian than Swiss, they'd probably be like Cantique Lépreux. It's just supremely good modern sounding black metal. That's what you get with these guys. It could very well make an end of year list. It's a very, very competitive year yet again, which just takes me on that tangent of people that say, there's no good bands anymore. A load of horseshit. You're just not listening to the right bands. Put down your Metallicas and your Slipknots and your Soulflies. Go and check out your Cantique Lépreux and anything else that I recommend, because 2024 is just another very good year. So, yeah, great album here. 7 tracks, 44 minutes, out on Eisenwald. Pretty sure that was not too exciting in here, just the old black wax. And, actually we did a little booklet thing. Take a look at that. So, was this like A5 book, which is nicely done. Like a Lord of the Rings kind of script or something here. Nice forest. Definitely resembling what this sounds like with this band. But yeah, nice little booklet there with some stuff about the album on the other side. There is something kicking around here, and I think that was the Bandcamp code, which I've already used, but you get another nice postcard, so there you go. Very nice. Good stuff again from Cantique Lépreux. If you've not checked them out, this is as good as entry point as any. They don't put out too many things. I think this is, as I said, just their third album over probably a decade at this point. So, yeah, a good place to jump in with these French-Canadian bands with Le Banishment. This next one is an absolute ripper. This is a Swiss two-piece. It's all about the Swiss and the Quebecois bands these days. We have here Ateiggär with, oh god, Us de Hol Schunet Num Zeit. No idea. It's that down there, and yeah, good luck to you, sir, but it's Ateiggär, Ateiggar. It's Swiss German. What do you want me to do about it? Side project of Ungfell members, here replacing that sort of folk sound that Ungfell have with a bit of more traditional 90s fury, but my god, is this thing furious. The band have a Swiss sound that you will hear in like Ara, but also Ateiggär, bands like that, but very infused with that Scandinavian 90s sound. There's whole sections in here that just reek of Nemesis Divina. If Nemesis Divina was being played by modern Swiss Germans, it'd probably sound like this, because hey, that seems to be what they're going for on here. The vocals themselves have that real German bark, which is great. Then there's sort of some choir stuff that gets thrown in there for a bit of embellishment every so often. Keyboards that match along with that, so you know you're getting all of the bits that you would get from that 90s kind of black metal, but it is played very modern sounding, so it's not like a throwback band by any way, shape or form. This is definitely its own thing, and it's quite aggressive. So supreme drumming, that's what really kicks off with this thing. Tight, punishing, a real focal point, I think, the drums, which is good for me. I don't play instruments, but if I did, it would be drums. I'm always listening for the drums over everything else. It just drives that music along. It just grinds it forward. Lay it on top of guitars, keyboards, but you know they're great. But the drums are just the selling point on this thing for me. Absolutely furious. This is like when I listen to, like Emperor's Anthems album. I'm just listening to Trim smashing the kit. That's mainly what I'm listening to on that one. Very similar feeling I get here from Ateiggär, which is not a bad comparison. I guess there is some sort of emperorisms in here as well, particularly that kind of drumming. This is the EP. So the band have done this EP and an album. The EP here is one that Ben Brainsmasher, who you all know as well, was recommending on his channel and to me for quite some time. By the time I got around to paying attention to his recommendation, the band had released a full length, which is called Tyrannomord. Came out 2022. I talked about it on the channel. I really dug that album. But I remember Ben saying he was a little disappointed in the full length compared to the EP. I wasn't. I thought it was excellent. But now that I've got this EP, I can see why he prefers it more. It is just, it's nastier. It's more aggressive. I think the album's a little bit more atmospheric, a little bit dronier, perhaps. But this thing, I like them both. But this thing is the angrier younger brother. Well, older brother, if it's the one that came out first, I suppose. Yeah. It's a nasty sounding thing, but it's just fantastic. Like I said, it's not quite a throwback, but it is definitely well inspired by the 90s scene and just adding in that modern kind of Swiss German sound that you're getting from these bands like Ara, Ateiggär. So great. I mean, look at that. You get that stuff. You already know what you're trying to do. It's all very 90s looking. And it's 4 tracks, 28 minutes, 45 RPM. Sounds sharp as nails. Because of that, there you go. There's the hype sticker, which I've stuck on the inner, which I tend to do if they're just plain inners, on black. And you get a poster thing, which we'll have a look at. Whoa! Good size poster. The logo, and you have old mate down there looking very cavalt and holding the invisible oranges. So, nice little poster. I do like the band's logo too. But, yeah, that's what we get in this one. No lyrics. No lyrics on the back there. Just chuck it on the back. Which is not a bad idea, putting them on the back if you've got a short album. Why not? So here we are. Ateiggär with Us de Hol Chunt Num Zeit. whatever that means. It's the new one. Well, it's not the new one. It's the first EP from Ateiggär. Comes highly recommended. Great Swiss German black metal. Next up is the fifth and latest full length from this one man, formerly UK, now French residing band. And this one I can actually pronounce both the name of the band and the album. This is a very, very new release. This is Auld Ridge, AULD, Auld Ridge. For death and glory to the gods I cry. The first album from this act that I've picked up, but I do own the last album by this. I think it's him. It might actually be him. I don't know if it's an old photo or not, but anyway, it's a one-man band, and it's the other project from the guy from Albanic Hermeticism, which I think I showed last year. Both sharing very similar sounds as he performs the instruments, does the vocals all himself in both acts. But it has a very fast, incredibly fast, intricate riffing style with those snappy blasting drums. They're just, for a one-man band, I mean, this guy is very much a quality multi-instrumentalist, absolutely. Whereas the other band has a bit more of an occult, sort of cosmic feel to it. Very occult sounding, very sort of, evil space Satan, that kind of stuff. Auld Ridge has a lot more of a folk influence to it, which you can sort of get from this kind of cover, the kind of logo, the sort of glyphs and things that are on here. And when I say folk, I don't mean it's just like there's a single instrumental track on here where someone's playing a lute, although there is an instrumental track on here on the end of side A that's very much all traditional kind of instruments. There's a bouzouki and things in there like that. But what I mean is that the style of the riffs and the approach to the songs, presumably the lyrics too, all very much have a folk feeling to them. Auld Ridge feels like a refreshing take on sort of old bands like Windir, Ragnarok from Norway, particularly Windir. I mean, like if you like those first couple from Windir and you want to, I don't want to say this is a band that sounds like directly like that. It doesn't. Pretty much stands on its own, this thing, but it's you can hear that's the kind of stuff that he was listening to when putting together the works on here. Fifth album, like I said, I'm not very familiar with the previous albums. They're kind of particularly with the LPs. The CDs you can get, but the LPs are kind of like when they come out, get them, and then you can't because I don't think they get reissued. So I haven't had luck with the previous ones, but I did manage to pick up this latest one here, and what an album to pick up. Talk about some of those other influences on here. I mean, the side B opener on here, we'll flip it over, which is, I can't tell, but it's probably the third track. It's all in, except for the first track, which is Blood and the Tides. The rest of it are all in, what are we looking at here? It looks Norwegian, but I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. It's definitely a Scandinavian language there on the back. So the side B opener has lots of dark medieval times, kind of Satyricon in there. It is a very medieval sounding track. I would say for other modern bands that have this kind of organic but sharp sounding way of playing their songs, the whole ambience of this thing, I would say the One and Done album Portent from False, US band, definitely some eras of Panopticon, the album from Doldrum from a couple of years ago. But what I'm hearing most recently in my ears, because they're a band I've only just sort of got into in the last sort of 6 months, and I've shown you, I did an update a few months ago where I showed you that I picked up basically the entire discography from this band. It's about Gjendod from Norway. He's got such a mix of albums. Some are furious and nasty, some are a bit more leafy and organic. Mix all of that together, and it's kind of where Auld Ridge is playing. So, yeah, if you like Gjendod, you would probably like this stuff here too. The distinction between this band and Albanic Hermeticism is best described by the individual that is in both bands. He just goes by the pseudonym of OWGA with dots, so that's, I don't know what it stands for. But he says that Auld Ridge focuses on history, legacy, struggles, archetypes of the European soil, or that kind of soul, sorry, not soil, the beauty that is found in nature. This is the more nature kind of act. whereas Hermeticism focuses on his experiences in the occult world and the darkness that can be found in nature. So that's the dark band. So yeah, it's kind of a yin yang thing kind of going on here, and it's good that he's got the two different acts to have the different styles, because although musically you can hear them and go, oh, it's him playing it, they're very different beasts. Very different beast. This is a lighter, not lighter musically, but lighter in its feeling. It's more sunshine and the and just foresty and like Gendod kind of stuff. But then you've got the Hermeticism, which is starting to get into that darker, sort of modern Ateiggär kind of style. But very much still him playing it. So, like, I do need to get into the rest of the stuff from this band. I understand that the album before this, he's very prolific. There's like one album every year, and it's a fifth album. So I want to get into some of the previous ones if I can find the records. But I need to get that back catalogue. But for me, the music here on For Death and Glory, The Gods I Cry is stellar. Take a look at the things inside. All right, so it's another black, unexciting, but it's out on Amalfati, who I highly recommend and buy a lot of things from that label. Excellent label. And yeah, I stuck the hype sticker on the inner again. And there you go with booklet. Got some stones there. There's some lyrics, but they are all not in English, except for the first track, which is in English. I haven't read through it, but there you go. There are some photos. Imagery is there. An idea. And sigil thing there on the back over the mountains. So yeah, it's all very natural nature sounding, this one. And it's excellent stuff. Absolutely fantastic. Auld Ridge, For Death and Glory, To the Gods I Cry. Check it out. Next up, we have the fifth full length yet again, but from this two-piece Finnish band. Another band that I've managed to acquire pretty much their entire discography on vinyl in about the last sort of 15 months or so. And they are all uniformly excellent. Everything from the demos that were pressed onto wax through to this latest album, which is just fantastic. This is Aethyrick with Death is Absent. Aethyrick is Aethyrick, Aethyrick. If you don't know these guys, firstly, I highly recommend them. As I've said, they're very lush sounding, very well composed, deeply occult sounding band, very sorrowful riffs. Absolutely. Mixed tempos, always erring on the side of the restrained. It does get fast, but it doesn't get hyper blasting at all. And this one here, Death is Absent, only been out for a couple of weeks following their 2022 last full length Pilgrimage, which was also excellent. Also, at the same time, they've dropped a split EP with another Finnish band, Maris, which is out in a week from now. My copy is in the post. More on that another time. But as for this album, another masterpiece. I've loved everything Aethyrick is doing. It's got majestic synth layering in here. Sometimes it just has straight piano playing. Fast tremolo guitar, alternating with slower, more simple picking style. Sharp, poignant drumming, very sharp. Feels sort of like earlier Turnus, I think. Raspy, dry vocals all throughout, very dry sounding. But the music altogether has a lot of breathing room. Like I said, it's not hyper blasting. It is not just insanely over the top. It's not. It's very well thought out and put together. Mid-paced, mostly black metal. That's very organic. They do slow down. When they do slow down properly, it's very full sounding again. Can almost be very contemplative, almost stargazing like when it gets quite slow, and it can get more minimal as it gets on them. There's just sort of lots. The slower they get, the less there is in, like the less ferocious they get at the same time, and then you can sort of hear more things coming through, just simple picking like I mentioned, or more of that keyboard layer and that kind of stuff. It starts to become a bit more, there's more space for it to play in, and it's really, really great to have that kind of juxtaposition between some of their styles all on the one song. It's very melodic, like I said, very overwhelmingly morose. Like I said, it's kind of sad. All the music is very sad sounding. Fans of the modern Norwegian scene, Gendod, like I said, or the French Canadians will just be at home here again with this very introspective album. Very talented duo here. Here's the two guys. I don't know which is which, but one is Gal and one is Exile, are the names they go by. They take great efforts to anonymize their music. No idea who they really are. No idea what other bands they may be in. Haven't been able to follow that paper trail at all. And that's fine. Nice to have a bit of mystique with your band. So 6 lengthy tracks on here, mostly over the 6-minute mark, running at about 42 minutes here. Midwinter Masks, the track that opens side B, is probably my highlight. That's another mid-pace one, has a lot of tom rolls, lots of double kick bass in there. Goes through the full range of emotions, that particular track. So that one's one that is a bit of a standout for me. And I've got to call out this fantastic cover artwork as well that I really love. It captivated me as soon as I saw it. A little bit rude, has a little bit of a boob going on there. By Finnish artist IK Inho. It's a she. I don't know much about her and what she's done, but she did do the Pilgrimage cover artwork from 2022, which is also really, really good. So, yeah, the new one from Aethyrick, 5th full length. There's demos in there as well. There's an EP split coming out. So, plenty of stuff for you to check out from this band if you don't know them. And like with the Auld Ridge, this is, and the Cantique Lépreux, I'd say the latest is perfectly good one to start off with. Another one on black. I'm doing well with getting black this time. There is the lyric sheet. Looks like we've got a old grave there that's been completely taken over by the forest. And there we go. Nice little imagery there. What do we have? With a what? Heavenward gaze, I open the scroll of the northern skies and read aloud its poems of magic eternal. That's quite a nice little phrase there. So there you go. This is Aethyrick with Death is Absent, an excellent 5th full length from this fantastic Finnish band. Now it's time for dive bombs aplenty with this barbaric, destructive force that is New Jersey's Altar of Gore. Perhaps straddling the death metal side of the fence more than you'd expect in a black metal update. But to me, this is just bestial Black Death supremacy. Whenever you get a black and white and spot red cover, you're 90% going to get war metal or something pretty close to it. And in part 1 of this update of black metal vinyl, I showed you the US band Death Fortress, and I mentioned the same members were in this band, Altar of Gore. And at the same time, this arrived in the post, their latest release for me. The name Altar of Gore might make you think it's gore grind, but it's absolutely not what you're getting with this. This is heavy as hell and not as fast as you'd think, but I would still say it qualifies to me as being bestial Black Death. Let's call it war metal. Dredged in decay and reverb. This is a 2-piece, like I said, from Death Fortress. Very much fit right into the realm of your Profane Order, Titan Blood, Mabozadad, but slower than all 3 of them, I'd say for sure. The side A closer on here, flip it over. Just got one man on the back here. Side A closer on here is Destined for the Pit. This one basically crawls in, like, he's even wearing a Titan Blood shirt. I mean, come on. It is a crawling, sluggish number, that one. It's like crawling in its own filth. I'd say this is the one that kind of reminds me of something like Infestors to the Depths in Degradation, which is definitely more in the death metal style, but such an evil sounding thing. And then side B closer, if we're jumping ahead, is the title track, Litanies of Unceasing Agonies, if I hadn't mentioned the album name yet. That one takes a bit of a Death Doom approach, heavy bass guitar presence. But look, don't get me wrong. Yes, I've said it's death metal, but this band knows when to get fast as well, and that's when it gets into that more obvious bestial war metal sounding black metal kind of thing. So to me, it completely warrants being in a black metal update. If you know you're getting to something that's more of that straddling the lines, bestial Black Death. Raw, visceral, extremely analog sounding, guttural, booming, triple echoed vocals, another tick for that bestial sound when the vocals are delayed so many times that they come back around in the next stanza. Sort of simple low-end riffs, sporadic sort of atonal leads that just sort of add in this extra little bit on top, and those dive bombs. Dive bombs to hell and back. You know me and my dive bombs. If you want more faster sort of blitzkrieg version of this, the two guys have another band in it called Damnation Lust, which, as I was doing the research, I realized I didn't own. I looked locally. I found a distro with it, so now it's on my way. So you can look forward to get more Death Fortress, Altar of Gore adjacent material, as I will talk about that one from Damnation Lust at some point, which has very similar black, white, red, but is definitely a bit more bullet belt and faster. So, you know, that one I can see it being a little bit more obviously into the war metal sound and a thrashy edge to it. But here, this is to the other side of that bestial sound where it's a bit more sluggish, heavier, deathlier. And look, it's just a little bit gorier. Look at that cover. It is nasty sounding and is nasty looking. Litanies follows up the 2020 full-length album Obscure and Obscene Gods, which I loved. And following up from their couple of demos before it, which had a wax pressing, I think last year or the year before, which is really good. I really dig this stuff from these guys. They may not be for everybody if you're not into the bestial stuff, particularly when it's quite simple. They probably won't mind me saying that it's very sort of simple sounding. There's not like wild guitar solos or things. They replace the solos with dive bombs, and I'm happy about that. And a lot of sort of pick scraping. I'm assuming that's what it is. Sort of just like they get to the end of like 4 bars and then just do this like run the pick down the strings. There's something going on there. Sounds great. It sounds menacing. Totally fits it. So not a band I ever expect to deviate much from their template, and thank Christ for that, because your band's called Altar of Gore. You're playing Bestial Black Death. I don't want you to become a power metal band by the next one. So I'm happy for them not to. Yeah, it is just great stuff. And yeah, I picked it up from who was the label? Oh yeah, Nameless Grave. I got that from them in the States, and I got another album from them at the same time. And NVNM, who is sort of the initial label for a lot of the stuff from these guys. They do the tape releases. Very hard for me to be getting copies of that. There's other bands, Siege Columns, another band that's also on NVNM. But yeah, ultimately it ends up on LP through labels like Nameless Grave. So yeah, happy to pick this one up. And yeah, like I said, I've got another one from that label I will show in a more death metal update when we get to that time. And this time we do not have a black LP, but you will probably agree with me that if I was going to get a color, this red is highly appropriate. It's just a simple red. Looks great. If you're going to have colors, match the cover somehow. That's what I always try and do. I'm not a fan of just a random clear LP with a bunch of clown splatter on it. Try and avoid them if I can, because they look a bit goofy. Can't always, but anyway. Simplistic looking lyric sheet there. Got your Arial font size 12 in capitals, and some images down there of some very decaying looking guys in archways. So yeah, great stuff. Altar of Gore just does what it says it's going to do. Litanies of Unceasing Agonies. Brand new album, 2024. Next up, we have the inaugural release from this international 4-piece. This is one that a couple of people have talked about on the VC, and when I saw that this came in at stock at Amalfati, I was very happy to pick this up and chuck it in with the Auld Ridge at the same time. With this glorious cover, this is Parfaxitas with Weaver of the Black Moon. Man, it's even a nice sort of matte stock. Like the whole thing's A1 presentation. Members of Suffering Hour, Sinmara, Oculus, and name at the moment Whoredom Rife, who have just put out another release, all collaborating across the continents to produce Weaver of the Black Moon here. Incredible debut. Obviously, when you've got 4 guys that are in fantastic bands and then they all collaborate, you're not going to get a piece of crap, and that's not what you get here with Parfaxitas. It is exemplifying what's kind of strong about the modern black metal sound. Very obvious comparisons, of course, to Nightbringer, Akhlys, all of those Nars Alchemeth things. You could have told me it was one of his projects. I probably would have believed you, honestly. Just fast, razor-sharp riffs played in that very occult upper register that he tends to as well. Lots of dissonance in the sound, blended with atmospheric just sounds of just dread. This is a dreadful sounding album. Just very dark, very dark sounding thing. Very lots of it's a cacophony of darkness. There you go. Lightning fast drums. Love the drums on this. And the tortured vocals are from Kjell, who is the vocalist from Horde Rife. So if you're a big fan of that band, then you're going to get some instant familiarity here with Parfaxitas. The album has a bit of a sort of, well, not a bit, but a lot of like a swirling sound to it. When you listen to it, the whole thing just feels like it's a. The image in my head was sort of like a massive drain, just the water just going down this big drain. It's just circling the drain as it's going down. I don't know. I was just getting that image the whole time when I was listening to this. It is just very circular sounding. You kind of get washed away in this whole production, like you're going down with it. Bit like later era Bluetooth Nord, with those sort of high pitch, those upper register kind of riffs. Accompanying sort of very clean bass. You can hear the bass guitar quite well on this. Thundering drums have a very strong focus on those toms and the cymbals. Lots of good cymbal work on here. And insanely fast blasts. Lots of blasting, and it's fast as. Very fast. Plenty of variation, though. Lots of time changes and things. Never feels disjointed. There's their logo. Honestly, if I was... The only thing about this layout, I mean, obviously they've done it so they can just have this picture, and it's a nice thing. It says Parfaxitas. I would have been quite happy to have like the Aethyrick kind of thing and just sort of, put their logo up here somehow, or up here, put the logo there. It's a great logo. It's a quality black metal logo. I reckon they should have chucked it on the front somehow. It's fine. Tiny, minor gripe, and it doesn't really matter at all. It is a very unsettling sounding release. So if you like the black metal to make the hair stand up on your arms, you probably get it with this one. Very much a Halloween soundtrack. You could just play this one over the month of October. Particularly for you guys in the States and Europe, where it's going to get snowier and a bit more colder out there, whereas I'm looking outside right now, it's just hit 30 degrees centigrade, and I feel like putting my shorts on. Not what you'd expect for icy international part Icelandic black metal, but hey, what can I do when I'm on the other side of the planet? So definitely I can see how fans of sort of Akhlys, Aethyrick, all of the Nars Alchemath, latest Ateiggär, you would completely approve of Parfaxitas, latest Bluetooth Nord. There's no reason why you wouldn't. The last track on here, which I will try and read, it is Sea of Blood / Fields of Nightmares. Very hard to read. Sort of, reflective, embossed kind of deeply etched work on there, but it is very shiny and difficult to read. But that track is a 13-minute epic that has plenty of demented sounding but undistorted guitar layers. So that's getting into that Bluetooth Nord where you're like, man, this is starting to creep me out. Plenty of that going on here. So yeah, a really, really good, strong album. There is stuff going on here in this inner gatefold, but it probably won't come across to you. It's very minimal. It's sort of like paintbrush techniques, but very hard to see. And gatefold, as you've worked out. There's the wonderful logo. Nice big booklet. Lyrics. We have Nero on guitars. We have KR on vocals. That's Kjell. Got some invisible oranges there. BE on drums. Fast drums. And YHA Yaha. I don't know, but it's obviously something YHA on bass. Sigil and things going on the back there. And inside we get LP, which is a black. So a nice presentation. Kind of happy that it didn't have to spread over 2 LPs or anything like that. Oh, there's more in here. There you go, poster. There's the artwork, and it has the logo. So there you go, that's what I'm saying. Should have put that logo on the front of the album. Would have been happy to see that myself personally. And I've just shown some more artistic boobs on this channel. But hey, look, it's artistic boobs, right? Not sexual boobs. It's artistic boobs. You can get away with that. But I'll pack the rest up later. This is, as I said, Parfaxitas, Weaver of the Black Moon. An excellent debut album. Very familiar for those that have been listening to a lot of the modern black metal bands, particularly those ones I mentioned. But I think you're going to be right at home listening to this one. Excellent stuff. Parfaxitas. Feast in blood. brings me on to the final and 7th record of this update. And just like Beetlejuice, you say his name a few times. He's going to appear, and he did. And I've had this one for a little while and been enjoying it. It's going to be very hard to show you, but this is Akhlys with House of the Black Geminis, the latest album from Naz Alchemath's Akhlys project. No idea if that's coming across. It is very hard to see. Probably is a little bit, but it's got a bit of a glare to it. And it's, again, very grey and dark red on black. So it's kind of just his logo thing there, the evil-looking bat, and then some sort of font kind of coming off the bottom there. But yeah, very minimal cover. Enough about the cover, though. This is a highly anticipated album from a lot of people. And for me, as expected, it delivered. It is exactly what I was expecting it would be. It hasn't really changed the sound, but I don't care. This was what I was wanting. It's what I got. Everything I just said for that Parfaxitas can be applied here. Basically, but this is more nightmarish. This is a nightmarish hellscape as Naz Alchemath has wanted to do in his projects. Akhlys, Aeotas, they're just nightmarish. They always are. More so than his Nightbringer project, because he's involved with others in that one. But when you just leave him alone and he does his own things, you get stuff like this. It's just evil. It is still highly musical, though, which is a good thing. It's a punishing listen, for sure. Hypnotic, dissonant chaos. Chaos with a K. This is Khaos. This is that, evil, satanic, space Satan chaos kind of stuff. That's what this is. It's very digital sounding, though, very modern. So, like, if you're after your raw, but some kind of, plug in and play Philosophem stuff, no, this is the absolute opposite of that. Lightning fast, kind of typewriter sounding drums. It's not booming kicks or anything. This is just, it's all about the speed, and for the speed, it needs to be short and sharp. So the guitars are very processed sounding. Again, that very modern sound. To the point that with all of the layering going on here, you could, in some cases, confuse the guitar for synth. It just all kind of blends in there. So you're never entirely sure, is this a guitar riff or is this just a couple of layers of sort of guitar that's of synth that's been distorted? But it all works well. It's all about really the atmosphere that's being created with this band. If you do tune your ears on a few listens in, you will start to pick out more things as you go. It's like a low-end throbbing that would benefit like a cinematic trailer, the kind of modern trailers they do these days. Has that throbbing, low-end, bass-heavy kind of thing. Keyboards that are, there's the main keyboards, but then sometimes you'll hear in the distance extra notes being layered on top, and you can only get them on like the second or the third listen through. The most immediate instrument to hear is those drums, because they are so clinical. They're right there in your face. And Naz's vocals themselves, very angry sounding, but there's tone in that anger as well. It's not your usual rasp, but it's got a bit of a, I don't know, it's he's got a very distinct sound, I think. I don't think many others really have that kind of approach to the music, to the vocals that he does. There's the other side of it, which has got a glossy looking photo. This is very heavy to be holding, actually, because it's a double LP. He is helped on this album by two others. So we have Evan Knight from a band called Pile of Priests, which is a pretty funny name. Not checked out Pile of Priests, but he provided the lightning fast drums on the previous Akhlys album from 2020, which was Melano or Melanie, I don't know. That was an excellent album. I think most people enjoyed that one. And Nox Corvus is the name of the second guitarist on this, who played in Aeotas. So that's one of the other bands from Naz. Look, this thing is heavy as. So I'll open up and show you what's inside. My cover got a bit damaged in the post. It's okay. W Morty, the label, are sending a replacement cover to the distro I got locally. So it's all working out nicely, which is very nice of them. They don't have to do these things. Postal damage is usually down to the post. Let me put the LPs down and try and show you this thing, because it's a triple gatefold. So there you go. Nice glossy photos and the embossed red. All in sort of Greek, I think, lettering going on down there. Hard to say. And then in here we have the hype sticker that was on the plastic I cut out. And what else we got in there? There is a booklet, but it's an annoyingly shaped triple LP. They're not my favorite, these designs. Come on, where are you? In there somewhere. Right, there we go. we get, there's the front booklet, whoop, Bandcamp thingy that I've already used. And again, very hard to show because it is a very dark sort of maroon red. All the lyrics are here on the left and some imagery on the right. You're probably just going to have to believe me for a lot of this. It is very difficult to see. Very dark album for very dark music. But it's excellent stuff. But like I said, I did get a bit of a battle damage on mine. So another one in the post, but a very heavy double LP, triple gatefold thing. And yep, both LPs. Not sure what versions there are, but this one is sort of a purple smoke, which looks really good. Happy with that one. And I will show you the back of the other LP. So it's 3 playing sides. And then we get on this side, nice image, sort of a dragon kind of. No, there we go. Yeah, sort of like dragon tails, but sort of fallen angel kind of thing going on there. So nice presentation. Sounds fantastic. It's another great album from Akhlys. He's obviously spent a lot of time putting these things together with this band, and it shows well. Try and get the front again. There we go. It is the front. Yep. So there's the front. Right. Oh, heavy thing. Lots of stuff to be showing there. But Akhlys, House of the Black Geminis. For some reason you haven't heard this band or any of the other ones from him that I've mentioned, definitely check it out if you want to hear that sort of modern black metal sound that is just overwhelmingly suffocating and occult and evil. It really is. It is a haunting kind of listen. So give it a go. Akhlys, House of the Black Geminis. And that's it for this second part of my 2-part black metal vinyl update. Like I said at the start, if you've missed the first part, do go check that one out. It is likely going to be the thing that is over here. And then you can also check out this thing over here. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.